Hello everyone, and welcome to our September filet crochet square. We're going to make an apple today. This apple I have worked up in a very bright red, but you of course can use any color that you have available. You will need quite a bit because we're working all those double crochets, so this square will take a little bit more yarn than if we were using spaces for all of these squares in the middle of our apple. And you can adjust the pattern if you prefer to work all spaces in the middle of that apple. You can do that. You would just, instead of working the blocks for each row in the middle of our apple, you would work spaces. I just love how this came out. It's super cute. We've got a little stem up here. This square would be great in a gift for teachers. If you know any teachers out there, because we've got a nice apple, you could mix it up with our star square and make a really fun, cool blanket for any of your teacher friends or family. So without further ado, let's filet crochet our September apple square. For this square, I am going to be using some more Impeccable 4-weight acrylic yarn. This color is Red Hot, and as always a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. To start, we're going to chain a total of 48 chains. Once you have 48 chains, we're going to work back along this chain. Now we can see from the graph that our first row, which is what we're now going to be working, is all shaded in squares, all blocks. That means all double crochets. So working back into the fourth chain away from your hook, 1, 2, 3, and 4, we're going to work a double crochet and a double crochet into each chain all the way back down that foundation chain. At the end of row number 1, you should have 46 total stitches, counting that turning chain right on the end. Here's our first double crochet. This turning chain and each chain 3 turning chain that we do throughout this square does count as your first double crochet. So as you're working back along, you always want to end with a double crochet into the top of that turning chain as well. It does count as a stitch. So I'm going to work my way back down, all double crochets, 1 into each chain, all the way back to complete row number 1. For row 2, we're going to chain 3 and turn. This counts as our first double crochet of row number 2. We have 1 block, 1 space, 11 blocks, 1 space, ending with 1 block. If you're unfamiliar with how we read the graph, just basically we read the graph on even rows left to right, odd rows right to left. So we're on row 2, we're reading the graph left to right. So for our first block, we're going to work 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches. A block consists of 4 double crochets. That chain 3 counts as your first double crochet, so now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, that's my first block. The next square that we're working is a space because it is open, it's not shaded in. That means on the graph that we need to work a space. For a space, we have our double crochet. The last stitch of our previous square counts as the first stitch of our next square. So a space is a double crochet, which we already have, chain 2, skip 2, and double crochet into the next. And that gives us our open space. We have 11 blocks now to work, so I'm going to work a double crochet over the next 33 . After working a double crochet over those next 33 stitches, so we have 11 blocks in between our spaces. There's our first space. We now need to work our second space. We already have that double crochet for our space, so all we need to do is chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next. We're ending with a block. You should have 3 stitches left, including that turning chain. We're going to work a double crochet over the next 3 for that last block and to complete row number 2. For row number 3, we're reading the graph right to left. We have 5 blocks, 5 spaces, and 5 blocks. So chain 3 to start and turn. That chain 3 counts as a double crochet. We're going to work a double crochet over the next 15 stitches to create our first 5 blocks. When you get to these chains, they count as stitches, so work into those chains. There's 2 stitches or 2 chains, so you want a double crochet 1 in each of those 2 chains. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need a total of 15. Once you have your 15 double crochets, we're going to be working 5 spaces. To do that, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next 5 times. So there's 1, we'll do that again. There's 2, do it again, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next. That is space number 3. Chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next. For space number 4, one more time, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next. For space number 5. On the graph, we have all shaded in blocks to finish row number 3. You should have 15 total stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Work a double crochet into each of those 15 stitches to complete row number 3. For row number 4, we're reading the graph left to right. I'm going to start with a chain 3 and turn. We need 4 blocks, 1 space, 5 blocks, 1 space, ending with 4 blocks. So I'm going to work a double crochet over the next 12. We now need 1 space, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next. For your space, we need 5 blocks, so we're going to basically crochet into each stitch over those spaces. It will be a double crochet over the next 15 stitches. Next we need a space, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next. That gives us our space. We now are ending with those 4 blocks on the end. It will be a double crochet over the last 12 stitches, so you should have a total of 12 stitches left, including that turning chain, to work into. For row 5, we're reading the graph right to left now. We have 3 blocks, 1 space, 7 blocks, 1 space, ending with 3 blocks. So we're going to start with a chain 3 and turn. For those first 3 blocks, we're going to double crochet into the next 9 stitches. We're now going to work a space, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next for our space. We need a double crochet over the next 21 stitches to give us our 7 blocks. After those 21 double crochets, we need a space. So chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next. Work a double crochet into each of those 9 stitches to complete row number 5. Row 6 through row 12, each row is exactly the same. So I'm going to show you row 6. You would just repeat this row up through row number 12, and I will meet you back after so we can complete this square. So for row 6 through 12, we're going to chain 3 and turn. We have 2 blocks, so a double crochet in the next 6 stitches. We now have a space, so chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next. For the center of our apple, we're going to be working all double crochets. We have a double crochet in the next 27, which equals our 9 blocks. So work a double crochet over the next 27 stitches. After those 9 blocks, or 27 total double crochets, we now need a space, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next. We're ending with 2 blocks. You should have 6 double crochets to work into. So we're going to work a double crochet into those last 6 stitches to complete row 6. And again, you're going to repeat this row up until row number 12, so through row number 12. So rows 6 through 12, it is that exact same pattern. You work your 6 double crochets, a space, you work 9 blocks or 27 double crochets, a space, and then you end with your 6 double crochets on the end, and that will give us the center of our apple. So for rows 6 through 12, work that row 6 repeated, and I will meet you back here for row number 13 in just a second. So this is what it should look like up through row 12. You can see we are framing our image in those spaces. A fun way to mix this up a little bit, if you don't like the filler in the center of your image, you can use all spaces. So instead of working double crochets in the center, you would work your first space and work those 9, instead of the 9 blocks in the middle, you would work 9 spaces, 1 more space, so a total of 11 spaces for this part here. Now you'd have to do the same thing down here and just work spaces for each of these rows once you start your apple. So if you don't like the filler, you can always use spaces instead of blocks in the middle of our image. So we are on row 13. Row 13 is exactly the same as row 5. So row 5 is down here. So we're going to work 3 blocks, 1 space, 7 blocks, 1 space, ending with our 3 blocks. And This is row 13, so we're reading from right to left. So repeat row 5, and then I will meet you back here for row 14 through 20, and we will finish up this square together. For row 14, we're reading the graph left to right. We're going to have 4 blocks, 2 spaces, 3 blocks, 2 spaces, ending with 4 blocks. So we want to chain 3 and turn. For the 4 blocks, we need a double crochet into the next 12 stitches. Next up, we have 2 spaces, so we're going to chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next twice. So there's our first space, and again chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next for our second space. 3 blocks, so we're going to double crochet into the next 9 stitches. We now need 2 spaces, so chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next twice. There's our first one. Let's do that again. Chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next for our second space. And now we have our 4 blocks on the end. You should have 12 total stitches. So work a double crochet into those last 12 stitches for row number 14. For row number 15, we are now reading the graph right to left. We have 6 blocks, 1 space, 1 block, 1 space, ending with 6 blocks. So we're going to chain 3 and turn. And we're going to work a double crochet into the next 18 stitches. We now have 1 space, 1 block, and 1 space. Chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next for a space. Work a double crochet over the next 3 stitches for our block. And a space, so chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next for our space. And to finish up row 15, we need 6 blocks. You should have 18 stitches left, so a double crochet into those last 18 stitches. For row 16, this is where things get a little bit different. So far in this pattern, we have worked the same amount of spaces and blocks on each side from the middle, so it's been sort of an exact copy once we get to the middle of what we did the first half of the square or the row, and then we repeat that in reverse for the other half of that row, and it's like a mirror image from the center. Now we are working that little stem, so things are going to get a little bit different. You really do have to, at this point, make sure that you are reading the graph correctly. So odd rows, 1, 3, 5, 7. In this case, we're up to row 16. So 17, you have to make sure that you're reading the graph right to left. Rows 16 and 18, make sure that you're reading the graph left to right. For row 16, we have 5 blocks, 3 spaces, 1 block, 1 space, ending with 5 blocks. Chain 3 and turn. You're going to work a double crochet into the next 15 stitches. And that will give you your 5 blocks. Next up we have our 3 spaces, so chain 2, skip 2, and a double crochet in the next 3 times. So there's 1, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next for space number 2, and chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next for chain number 3, or space number 3. We need a block, so we're going to work a double crochet over the next 3. And again, try to get right in those chain stitches. So there's our 3 spaces and a block. We now need a space, so chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next for our space. You should have 15 total stitches left. Work a double crochet into those last 15 stitches to complete your 5 blocks and row 16. For row 17, we are now reading the graph right to left. We've got 4 blocks, 1 space, 3 blocks, 3 spaces, ending with 4 blocks. So you're going to chain 3 and turn. You're going to work a double crochet into the next 12 stitches to get your 4 blocks. Next we're working 1 space, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next. 3 more blocks, so we're going to double crochet into the next 9 stitches. And now we need 3 spaces, so chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next once, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next twice, and chain 2, skip 2, double crochet into the next for the 3rd space. You should have 12 total stitches left on the end for your 4 blocks. Work a double crochet into each of those 12 stitches to complete row number 17. For row number 18, we're reading the graph left to right. We start with 4 blocks, 2 spaces, and then the rest of the way are all blocks, 9 total blocks on the end to finish. So we're going to chain 3, and turn, and now we're going to work a double crochet over the next 12 stitches for our first 4 blocks. We now need 2 spaces, so chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next once, and one more time, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet in the next for our 2 spaces. And there's our leaf of our apple. And now we just need a double crochet all the way back. You should have 27 stitches all the way back. We're just working 1 double crochet into each of those 27 all the way back for row number 18. So that's how it should look completing up through row 18. For row 19, we are just repeating what we did for row 2 way down here. And then for row 20, we are just working all double crochets all the way across. Row 20 is all shaded in, all blocks, all double crochets. I'm going to go ahead and work rows 19 and 20 off camera, and then we will take a look at this final finished apple square in just a second. Here is our apple filet crochet square completed. Like I said, if you would prefer to have an open image instead of this bordered image, just work spaces in the middle instead of those blocks, and that would open it up quite a bit for your main image. It also will save you a ton of yarn. Working spaces does not use as much yarn as working those blocks. I love how this square came out. I'm super happy with it. I hope you are too. Until next time, happy filet crocheting, everyone. Bye.